In Justice in Our Penal System, Evans vs. Corrupt Public Servants by Abiodun Ladepo. Without one of those spoiled, narcissistic senior advocates of Nigeria, SANS, who specialize in advocating for white-collar criminals standing by him, Chukwudumeje George Onwuamadike, also known as the celebrity kidnapper Evans, narrated to the media how he kidnapped people. We got to know the entire modus operandi. I bet you, given enough time, he will tell us more, and everything from how he selected his targets, to how he studied their lifestyles, how he selected the dates and times for the kidnap operations, reconnoitering and selecting the intended routes, recruiting the right accomplices for the operations, deciding what types of weapons, modes of transportation and signs and signals he shared with his crew for whether to proceed with or abort operations. Given enough time, Evans will tell us what post-operation meetings, after-action review, looked like. Did they burn vehicles used in the operations? Did they shut off or throw away all the phones they had with them? Did anybody get wounded? Did anybody die? What were the health conditions of the victims? How much were the victims really worth? How were the ransoms collected? What were the sharing formulas? And how were the monies kept or spent without triggering suspicion in the community? Evans would tell you all these not because he has suddenly been overwhelmed by a sense of contrition, or that the Holy Ghost has taken control of his dark heart and lodged there to cleanse it, or simply out of the goodness of his heart. He has been singing like a canary and will continue to sing like that because he has undergone, and is probably still undergoing, some of the most creative interrogation techniques in the whole world. No, I do not know for sure if that went on, or is going on. I just know, by taking a close look at his face, seeing his bloodshot eyes, his swollen red face and overall countenance, that he has faced the kind of interrogation techniques that Musiliu Obanekoro, for instance, did not face while being questioned for alleged corruption. You probably know a thing or two about creative interrogation techniques and those that violate some of the articles of the Geneva Convention to which Nigeria has long been a signatory, those that could cause a country to be seen as a pariah by the rest of the civilized world, and bring the government official violators before the International Court of Justice at The Hague for human rights violations. The good thing about those kinds of interrogation techniques is that they make you confess fast and deep. You may even confess to crimes you did not commit. Now, let me state without any equivocation that I do not think Evans has confessed to crimes he did not commit. In fact, he has confessed and given us proof of his sadistic crimes. There is no question Evans is one of the most depraved and despicable entities to have walked the face of this earth. There is no question he put innocent people through untold anguish by depriving wives of their husbands, children of their fathers, siblings of their siblings and friends of their friends. There is no doubt he robbed people of their hard-earned incomes and stripped them of their dignities in the most heartless and brutal ways, killing some in the process of snatching them against their will. And there is no question the man belongs in a fiery furnace, thrown in there while still alive, and left to immolate until his ashes are completely burnt too. But just as Evans represents the worst kinds of human beings, so do some of our public servants represent the dregs of our society. The difference though is that rather than vilify the white-collar criminals like we are doing to Evans now, we celebrate them. We rank-aid them when they show up in our communities in their bedecked clothes and accoutrements. We trot after their sleek SUVs. We hold them in awe, drooling with admiration when their private jets land at our airports. We troop to their mansions to eat the crumbs off their tables. We never challenge them for the crimes they have committed against us, and crimes with far more devastating and lasting consequences on us as a nation and as individuals. We can't challenge them because we can never know with the kind of clarity, lucidity, and forthrightness, albeit forced, that Evans confessed to his sins. We can never know because we will never subject them to creative interrogation techniques. Or will we ever strip Bukola Saraki naked, slap tight handcuffs on his hands, clasp leg chains on him, and deny him sunlight, food, water, shelter from cold, shelter from heat, shelter from mosquitoes? Will we ever subject him to marathon questioning where we get to change interrogators to give them a break but not give him any break in order to sustain weeks-long sessions, and anytime he dozes off, we beat the living crap out of him? Will we ever introduce a flaming rod to his private part? Will we ever introduce a hammer to his fingers and toes? Will we ever simulate drowning him? Will we ever do any of the above to him while questioning him about the allegations he faces? When you took a look at Sambo Dasuki's face, did you see any evidence of creative investigation techniques? What about that of Rabiu Kwankwaso? What about Alex Bade's face? What about Femi Fanikeo's face? What about Stella Odua's face? What about Patience Jonathan's? What about Adesola Amosu's? And these are people against whom some of the most fantastic corruption allegations in the history of Nigeria have been made. Some of them have never even been arrested, let alone interrogated. Some of them have admitted to stealing way more than Evans has stolen violently, and have started to return their loot to a government. But we don't see them as terrible people in the same way we see Evans, even though they may have hurt our very beings beyond repair if some of the crimes against them are ever proven to be true. Hundreds of women die monthly during childbirth because hospitals do not have the equipment to monitor their and their babies' conditions, with funds meant for equipping the hospitals having been embezzled by public servants. We don't see that as worse than what Evans did because we have not subjected the public servants to the process of atonement, the kind that Evans faced. Boko Haram successfully carved out a country for itself in Nigeria's northeast, butchering thousands of innocent and poor civilians, kidnapping and raping hundreds of young schoolgirls, and Nigeria's military could not defend Nigeria's territorial integrity because some eminent Nigerians diverted to their pockets funds meant to arm the military. We don't see that as a crime worthy of the kind of burn in a ferocious furnace punishment that I recommend above for Evans. What about those death traps we call roads? What about those coffins we fly as aircraft and with funds for their maintenance having been cornered by the politicians we eulogize? What about our children's future being taken from them when tertiary education has been priced out of their reaches? The list is endless. We see and feel every day the litany of crimes committed against our humanity by the people we revere, trust and respect. But we have inoculated ourselves against the sense of justice, proportion and fairness in apportioning punishment to the point that we lynch a hungry man who steals a loaf of bread while saluting the public servant who steals our billions. We subject to public opprobrium and humiliation the common criminal while 50+ senators, 100+ SANs, shameless media advisors, client prosecutors who intentionally sabotage their own cases and morally debased judges all conspire to free the highly placed criminals. The war against corruption will fail unless we have a level playing field and the kind of field on which we played Evans, the kind of playing field that will serve as deterrents for our super corrupt public servants.